Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed. Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going. Hi, everyone. This episode was recorded in September of 2021. It's part 2 of our school choice series, so it could be a little old sounding. I mean, even our name was outdated, so we got that going for us. But the information, as always, is gold, and the funnies are definitely there. Take a listen. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello and
Hi,
welcome
everyone.
back.
Oh my gosh, it's been a while since
Okay.
we've recorded. So we are rusty, and this is going to be fun.
We are working on part 2 of a 3-part series on school choice. With me is Caitlin, who's red and curly and funny all over.
Oh, that's so sweet. I like that one. And I have everyone's favorite horse, zombie, and unicorn loving 8th grader. It's Miss Tina Ruth Belcher over here from Bob's Burgers. Gotta love me a little Tina. She's so precious.
Wow.
Jenny, I know, right? Did you know her middle name
Johnny
was Ruth?
thinks I'm Linda because I like to sing my words.
That probably would have made more. Don't worry, there's more characters. There's
Right.
a whole bunch of ladies in Bob's Burgers that I could use. But yes, I could see a Linda for sure.
Oh my
And I
gosh,
love
can I be
Tina.
Marshmallow?
Of course you can. I mean, I'm telling you, the number of female characters in sitcoms there's a lot of them. I have a list. It's gonna be fine. But for today, you
Okay.
get to be Tina.
All
She
right.
loves unicorns and rainbows. Horses and rainbows, not unicorns. Oh my gosh. Are we okay?
Butts.
I know exactly what you're doing.
Or maybe I'm Dina.
Somewhat.
Tina talks like this.
Are you
Dina
sure you're not
talks like
Tammy? You guys,
All
it
of
has
this
been
is getting cut out.
No, leave it in. Damn it. Leave it in. Oh my goodness.
Okay,
It has been a minute, you guys. I promise we're gonna get it together. To be fair, we are also a little slap happy. I am in full pajama mode right now as we record this, and Jenny is gonna go to bed right after this is over because she's got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh my God. I'm in my sleeping sweater, which is a sweater I bought from Express on the interweb, and it was extremely too large. So now it is a sweater for sleeping.
Do you actually sleep in it, or is it the sweater that you wear right before bed?
No, I do sleep in it.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
I like to be very warm when I sleep.
I want the air around me to be frigid. Like we keep it like a cool 68 in this house when we're going to sleep. But then I want all the blankets up.
Right.
Yeah, that's the best. Because then when you get too hot, you just gotta ventilate a little bit, and then you cool off immediately, and then you're good to go back to sleep. It's awesome.
So we're gonna skip the whole intro.
All you need to know is that
this is part 2. Go back
Yeah.
and listen to part 1,
Yep.
which was all about your public school options. And again, we don't know exactly what's available in your neighborhood or what might be right for your family. This is just our experience as educators. This week we are featuring charter schools. But before we get there, we have to have some circle time. We got to get on that carpet and sit crisscross and share.
I mean, we have to start with sports. So let's go sports. What you got?
Okay, so it's fall and it is football time.
Yay.
So very soon we will be talking about the bane of my existence in the fall, which is fantasy football. But for right now, let's talk about actual football. The first college games are happening.
This weekend, yeah?
It's time.
Or no, last weekend they
So,
started, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, it's time for you to pick up your local college team, whether it's the school that you attended or one that you live nearby, and start to follow their 12 game series and decide how they're going to do this fall. Right now, Caitlin is wearing her Texas Longhorns t-shirt. I guess her A&M
Yay.
shirt was dirty. I don't know why she's not wearing one. At our house, we like to celebrate both the Aggies and the Longhorns. But if you remember last episode, we talked about Texas maybe moving to the SEC, which means the rivalry is back. So it's football time. I don't have a whole lot for you. Just pick a team, start watching.
Right. And here's the thing. At some point we will have an episode where we kind of talk about football rules so that when you are sitting there watching it or avoiding watching it, whatever your preference is, you at least have some talking points and have a few things of what you can kind of do to understand what's happening in front of you. For now, just know that it's going to be all that the football lover in your life is talking about is that NCAA football is back.
And you can always say, man, they just ran out of time on that one, didn't they?
I like that. That's a really good I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. You just have to do something like that
On
whenever they
Sunday,
make it.
half the teams win and half the teams lose.
Yeah, it's true.
And move the chains. You could say, move the chains.
How very Michelle Tanner of you to say. Move the chains, dude. All right. So, on my side, we've got, of course, I have to follow up on the Olympics. Right now, we're in the middle of the Paralympics, which is really cool. And I've been following Team USA's Instagram, and it's so fun to learn who is medaling and what, and all these really awesome Olympians who are just so much more athletic than I could ever dream to be. And I'm going to just really quickly go over the medal count for the regular Olympics Tokyo 2020. It looks like the United States came out on top with 113 total, which is super cool. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And 39 of those were gold, 41 of them were silver, 33 of them were bronze. And that's the highest in all three medal counts.
Wow. Oh, sure. Yeah, you could have 113 bronzes.
Right, exactly. So, no, we had
Now, if you
39
add those
gold, which
numbers
is
up, they don't equal to 113. Is that okay?
There must be something where there's like
No, I'm kidding. They do.
I was gonna say like there was a group of there were two guys who shared a medal, which was a really cool story. That's
Oh
why it made
my
my heart so
gosh, I
happy.
loved that.
Yeah,
They
was
had
it the
been
high
doing,
jump?
what was it? High jump.
A high
And they
jump, I
had gone
think.
back and forth a couple of times. And finally, one guy just said to the judges,
Can
can't we
we
just
please
share
just
it?
share it? Yeah, they got to a height that neither one of them could clear, and they both were
And the
like,
other guy
"Can
was
we
like,
just share it?"
heck yeah, we could share it. I could be a gold medalist in the Olympics. I don't care if someone else has the same medal.
Right. And I think there was no silver. I think that's how they made that happen. Maybe, or I don't know, whatever they did. Either way, it was really cool. Made my heart so happy. And then the other thing that was on my heart because I just love this movie so much is or was the Field of Dreams baseball game.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. It was first of all, my husband is as is yours is a baseball guy. And my husband happens to be maybe the only White Sox fan I know. And in fact, my son's first baseball cap was a White Sox baseball cap that we have him in like as an infant wearing this
Wow.
cap that is too big for him. So the Field of Dreams movie is special in our home. It is special anyway, right? Like it's just such a great movie. And I watched it and I'm watching Kevin Costner, walk out onto this field and
Oh my gosh.
I instantly started crying. Immediately started crying.
So Caitlin is watching this game as it's happening. I had another event that evening. So she texts me, I'm crying already.
Yeah.
And so the next night we are watching it together, my husband and I. And within 30 seconds, we're both crying. And I'm texting her back like, "Oh my gosh, you were right. It's right
Oh
away."
my gosh. Oh, I got
I have never
chills.
wanted to go to Iowa. Like, that has never been one of the states I need to see.
No.
Now I'm going.
Right. Well, and I wanna go just to that, right? Like, and with Bryce, like, before COVID, I wanted to help send him to this baseball game because we knew this baseball game was going to happen. It was supposed to happen on the 30th anniversary of the movie because the movie's now 30 years old, which is why they did this.
Mhm.
And the White Sox were wearing blue. They were not wearing their traditional black, and they were wearing the traditional uniform that was worn by the players in the movie. And it was just very special. And the White Sox ended up winning it with a walk-off home run. It just made my heart so happy. I truly probably didn't stop crying for like the first, 15 minutes. It was
And I
just
will
like
tell you,
so beautiful.
I am not an Aaron Judge fan,
Mm,
okay?
nah.
But when he came out on the field, he was clearly breaking a rule. He had his phone out and he was taking pictures, and the look on his face
Oh,
of taking the pictures of the fans and the corn and Kevin Costner, I was like, "All right, I might like you a little bit." Like, you broke the rules. You were not supposed to take pictures from there, but you
right.
really wanted to capture this.
Right.
Okay, I'll let it go.
There's professionals everywhere around you who are taking beautiful pictures that you are probably in. You don't need to do it, but you wanted to do it, which makes it
It
even
was
cooler. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
and
awesome.
I get it, right? Like, when I went to go see the solar eclipse, I did not take pictures. I was like, "There's gonna be someone who's gonna take a way better picture than me. I'm just gonna lay back and watch the sun disappear." But I know in that moment, he was just like, "Let me just get a couple of shots. Let me just get something as I'm coming out." And it was kinda cute. Like,
It was
"Alright."
very cute, and it truly just made my heart so happy, and my husband watches that game or not that game, that movie every time it's on. If he finds it on TV, he will watch it. We own it digitally, we own it on DVD, he probably owns it on VHS, like, we have it in every possible form, and he will watch it every time, and we were actually watching it, like, 2 nights ago, and he's, like, saying the lines, like, a half second before they actually happen, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't care if you say the line, but please say it with the person so that you're not so it's not an echo
What
as
is
I
that
watch it."
movie for you that when it's on, you're like, "Oh, sorry, I have to watch this?"
Grease. Grease.
Really?
I love Grease or Dazed and Confused.
For me, it's The American President. I'm Andrew Shepherd, and I am the president. Dude, that movie comes on and I'm like, "All right,
You're
sorry, I got
into
nothing
it?
else." I just have to watch Annette Bening say, "And I'm not here because you said 452 to the floor."
It's just so amazing to me that that's the one. Like,
Oh,
to
yeah.
me, it's like the childhood ones, and Dazed and Confused, I mean, that's like the quintessential Austen movie,
Sure.
like, you can still go get burgers at Top Notch, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, like, to me, that one just has a special place in my heart. Plus, it was like one of the first movies I ever watched with my husband. So that's really
Oh,
cool for
that's
me. But
sweet.
yeah, I mean, I think he put it on because he wanted me to see, like, this is
This
what
is
my
Austen.
childhood was like. This is where
Mhm.
I'm from. And he's like, I played, pony league ball on that field and like the field that he gets.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's like across the highway from us. So it's super close. And so there's that one, but Greece, I mean, Greece is like what I grew up with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I have that whole movie memorized. I remember being little and going, "There's
Hopelessly
oh my
devoted. Oh,
gosh."
yeah.
I remember being little and going, "There is no way these people are in high school." There's no way. And the message is terrible, right? But like it's just that movie for me.
But Stockard Channing
Oh my gosh, she was
grew
so
up
good.
to be Abigail, the first lady in The West Wing, which is based on the movie The American President.
Mhm. You're right. That's very true. See, it all comes full circle, folks. It all just comes full circle.
I don't know,
Oh
should we
my
leave that
goodness.
in? We should leave that in.
I mean, I think we should. We've gotten
Okay.
past the point of editing out all the really bad stuff, I think.
Oh, that was good. That was a connection that I made. I think I'll tag her in the episode.
There you go. We'll find her. Oh
All right.
goodness.
So, moving on. Let's be vulnerable.
Did you have any like ridiculous parenting moments?
Oh my gosh.
Surely
Okay,
you've had at
so
least a couple.
The first one is parenting myself.
Yes. Okay.
I started at a new school this year, and I'm very excited to be back in the classroom. My school is super COVID safe, and I'm very, very happy. And one of the benefits of the school is it's right on the light rail line in Austin, so I can take the
I
train.
mean, that's so
It's
nice.
so great. It's so amazing. And I accidentally got on the train that did not go to my stop.
Okay.
And not like it went the wrong direction. It just the end of the line was one stop before mine,
Oh no.
which wouldn't be a big deal except it's 7 miles difference.
Because it's light rail and that's how they do
Yeah,
things.
yeah. So that was a $15 Uber, but I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Oh no. When did that happen?
Before school started, when I was
Oh,
still
okay.
there
When
for
you were
professional
practicing.
development.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
practicing. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's
So,
fine.
yeah, like you've been doing this for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, no.
Although sometimes we just have tired moments. It happens.
No, in the middle of the day, it doesn't run all the way north because they expect commuters to be at work.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. This is one of those moments where I have to be both, like, ashamed and proud as a mother.
Okay.
I have started this tradition of midnight dance party. Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm reading your face.
yeah.
So, sometimes it's me alone, and sometimes it's me and my 9-year-old daughter, and I will go and wake her up in the middle of the night and say, "It's time to dance." And we will both put in our ear pods and share a track and dance on the kitchen table
Oh,
to music that we hear, but no one else does.
okay.
There are times where I do it alone, either in the backyard or on the kitchen table.
Okay.
So next time that you hear the ABBA hit Mamma Mia,
Nice.
imagine me and my 9-year-old dancing to what you see as silence, but us jamming out.
Okay, so what's the name of the movie that is it's Practical Magic. So I'm picturing
I
you
love
have
this movie.
it's so good. It's so good. I am picturing you and your daughter having like a Practical Magic, like
Like
the
midnight
late
margaritas.
night midnight
Yes.
margaritas moment with
Mhm.
AirPods in, and also that has Stockard Channing in it too. That is full circle. Thank you. I'll be here all week. And I just needed you all to know that I can see that connection. And I'm just picturing her face as she like kind of looks, at the two girls and she like walks away, before they leave and try
Oh
and
my
let the girls
gosh.
figure it out for themselves.
Oh my
But
gosh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm just that's where my mind just went as you were telling. That's why I
Yeah,
looked so
rosemary at garden gate, lavender for luck,
I mean,
salt over
that's
your left shoulder, and fall in love whenever you can.
you were reading my face and my first thought was, girl, if I can sleep, I'm gonna sleep. And then my second thought was, oh my God, Practical Magic. Stockard Channing. So I just kind of went
That is so
nuts all at
funny.
this.
Thank you for waiting to drop that at the end. Your storytelling was on point there.
I mean, sometimes I'm good. Sometimes sometimes I can pull things together. Tonight is proving to be we are either slap happy or legitimately funny. And I'm hoping it's the latter. Um but I'm like crying with laughter right now. I'm wiping my face so much. Speaking of crying, I have to tell you, so my son school started in Austin a couple weeks ago. It's actually been 2 full weeks of school now, and my son just started kindergarten. And I think it's a tradition in many households to read the night before kindergarten, right? It's like a thing that if you haven't
Oh
heard
my
of this
gosh, you're
book,
starting to sob right now.
I if I laugh, I won't cry. So we read the night before kindergarten, and we actually read it. School started on Tuesday, so we read it on Sunday night, like just to
Mhm.
start, And we have a couple of other books about kindergarten and about going to school and all that. And I got to the page in the night before kindergarten when all the parents are still there and they're still watching
Yes,
and
looking.
then they all start to cry, and I just like, oh, I just booger teared. I couldn't get through. I'm like, Sam's looking at me like, what, Mom? What's so sad? I'm like, nothing sad. It's happy tears.
Nothing is
It's
sad.
nothing sad. It's just, it's a sad, but it was, I mean, I would liken it to the time that I was subbing in a fifth grade classroom and I had to read Marley and Me out loud.
No.
And it was the part, yeah, it was the
Mm-mm,
saddest part of the movie too, or the saddest part of the book. And I had to read it out
mm-mm.
loud. And I don't have dogs. I don't, not that I don't want them.
Nope, I would've printed off coloring sheets and just said I couldn't find the book.
No, the I didn't know. I didn't know what part it was. It was the saddest part of the whole
It's a dead dog
book.
book, I don't read it.
I didn't know. I I was clueless, and this was
Dude,
like,
that teacher set you up.
I
They were
know.
like, "Mm-mm, I have to be absent that day.
This was like
I'm
15
not reading
years
when the
ago.
dog dies."
I was 22 subbing in a fifth grade classroom, and she had me read Marley and Me, and I was sobbing in front of these kids. And they're just like, it's okay. One of them starts patting my knee. The other one's like, did your doggy just die? I'm straight up lying, like, yes, my doggy just died. So I can't
This
handle this.
morning.
It, it was awful. That's
I mean,
how I
did you also
cried.
have to read Old Yeller and the Velveteen Rabbit?
I
Like
mean, oh God, Where the Red Fern Grows. What other books can we talk about that are like just tear jerkers immediately? I don't even know.
Cat in the Hat.
That was me. Oh, the places you'll go. This is a mess.
It's good.
I was a mess. But yeah, so that was my I'm not ashamed to say that I just sat there sobbing while I was trying to explain to my child that kindergarten is going to be really fun. You're going to love it, she says with tears
so
streaming
good,
down her
yeah.
face, and she's wiping her boogers on her t-shirt. It was horrible.
So, you know, night before kindergarten is going back to school.
Yeah.
And Abigail is in 3rd grade.
Okay.
And so as part of their back to school projects, they had to make me in a bag. And so they were given a paper bag, like a lunch size bag, and had to put objects in it that represented themselves.
Did she put in a Cher doll?
Oh my gosh, no. But she did dress her turkey up for like Cher when one year when it was like, disguise your turkey so it doesn't get eaten on Thanksgiving. She was like, my turkey is Cher. It was the only Cher. So at least there's that. She's original.
Just to be clear, your daughter is 9 and she's obsessed with Cher. I just need to put
Right,
that out there.
right.
Okay, great. Okay.
So she has to pick some objects and put them in the bag. And she found a little mixer that goes with her American Girl dolls. That's a tiny, like, oh, I like to bake, these kinds of things.
My mind went to alcohol immediately. That's where my mind goes when you say mixer.
No. We're going there.
Oh, great.
We're going there. Because she grabbed a tiny Eiffel Tower and put it in the bag.
Uh-oh.
So she comes downstairs with her objects, and we're sitting at the kitchen table having dinner. And we said, okay, practice your presentation. Tell us about the objects. So she's going through, this is my magic band because I love going to Disney, da-da-da. She takes out the Eiffel Tower and she says, this is the Eiffel Tower. My mom is going to take me to Paris.
Very sweet.
Right. And I have been promising that I will take her to Paris for high school graduation since she could speak.
Oh my goodness.
And, it's just this bond that she and I have. We're planning this trip to Paris.
Love it.
And I said, well, Abigail, when are you going to Paris? Abigail is 9. She says, as soon as I'm old enough to drink wine. Thank God we practiced because she goes to the school where I work.
Oh my God. How old do you have to be to drink wine in Paris?
I mean, I guess tall enough to sit at the table.
I guess. It's a different culture. It's a different culture altogether.
Like,
but
that's not how long we're waiting.
No.
It's not because you can't drink.
It's because it's your graduation. That's
as soon
amazing.
as I'm old enough to drink wine. That's when I'm going to Paris.
I love it. And yeah, you can't let her say that. You just can't do that at all. That's hysterical though. She's just so grown up. Like she just says grown up things. Like you are in for it and like you're already in for it and you're in for it more in a few years because especially if she's got year sass. My goodness.
Oh no, she's dressing me now. Every night she goes up to my closet and pulls out an outfit for me and accessorizes and everything. It's been really great. I've gotten so many compliments on my outfits, and I haven't told the students that Abby's choosing them. I'm just like, "Oh, thanks."
My stylist did it for me.
Yeah.
Like Share with the closet, you know what I mean? And
Right,
there's
right, right.
another connection to Share. I'm all
Yes.
about the connections today.
Someone actually said to me, "I like your aesthetic." And I was like, "Wow, that's a really nice compliment." And I bit my tongue and didn't say, "You actually like my 9-year-old's aesthetic."
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing. She's picking out your clothes. It's stuff from your closet. It's not like she's like going and shopping for you all the time. So
True.
there is an element of that part of it. You can say that it's your taste because it is. You bought the stuff. You know, whatever. It works. If she needs more clientele, I'm happy to because I basically just wear like exercise stuff every day.
But you have something new to wear right now.
I do have something new to wear and it doesn't come out. And it's actually I hit it earlier just as we were talking because I was laughing so hard.
Oh, no.
My new obsession is this new piece of facial hardware that I have. So I've been mildly obsessed with having a piercing in my face for for about 20 years now. And then in college, I told people like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get my eyebrow done," like early in college, like freshman
I'm
year.
so glad you did it.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm not digging the
I
eyebrow.
thought it would have looked good on me, so I was okay with it, and I thought it was edgy-er.
It
You know
is
what I
edgy.
mean?
It
Right,
is
so, like
edgy.
yeah, so I just I think it looks good on some people. I just don't think I'm one of those people. So then I chickened out on it, and then I had, like, a bunch of ear stuff done, and I did my belly button, and I have, like, 8 piercings in my ears alone, so, like, I'm not a stranger to piercings, but anyway, I sent a message to Jenny and to several other friends roughly along the lines of, "What do we think about a 37-year-old woman going and getting her nose pierced?" And the answer was a resounding, "Go do it. You might as well. What are you waiting for? Like, who cares?"
Right.
And I had to be reassured several times that it wasn't like some sort of mom life crisis,
And if it is, who cares?
well, yeah, it's how I'm gonna handle it, but I went and got it done. Jenny came with me, and, they asked me if I wanted a stud or a ring, and I said, "What heals better?" And he goes, "As long as you take care of it, who cares? Like, just get what you want." And so I have a nose ring that is, like, my new favorite thing right now. I'm kind of obsessed with it.
It looks super cute.
Thanks.
And if I didn't have to wear a mask every single day, I would have one too.
I
But
know. We'll go. When you
we'll
decide
go.
that you want it, we'll go.
When she texted me, I was like, "Yeah, you do it and I'll do it too." And this will
Yeah, I
surprise
was, like,
you. It will not be my
stoked.
first nose ring.
It would look so good I can see it looking good on you, and I also texted a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours we used to work with, and I showed her my picture of my new hardware, and she was like, "My daughters have that, and I had one too," and I was,
Shout out
like,
to Anne.
blown. It
Is
wasn't
that who it
Anne.
was?
I
Yeah.
think Anne did have one. It was Kim. Yeah, her daughters have it. And she had one too.
What?
I know. I was like, "Oh my god, girl." I can just see it looking so good on her too. But this is my, like, 20-year not 20, 18, 18-ish year dream finally realized that I had someone put a needle through my nostril. It's not the one that goes through both nostrils. What is that called?
What is
The
that
rook?
called?
Is it a rook piercing?
No,
I don't
that's like
know.
your ear.
Oh, yeah, that's up here. I don't know what this one is.
A
It's not
bull.
like the cartilage or it's not the one that looks like a bull. It's just like a straight up, like, nostril, and it looks so good on my sister. My sister has it done too.
That's the one you can like flip up inside, no one sees it.
Yeah, you're right. And it's also I learned that it's not the, like,
Sacrum?
actual oh god,
No,
I'm gonna
that's your
have to look this
tailbone.
up. Yeah. I had, like, a chart that I was looking at with all of these different names of it, and I can't think of it.
That's why you were so fancy when you ordered it,
Yeah, because I knew what to
because
say.
you knew what to say.
Yeah.
When we checked in, Caitlin says, "Oh, I would like a nasal piercing."
Well, I thought I said nostril, but
Maybe
whatever.
she said nostril, but whatever she said, it wasn't like, "Can you poke a hole in my nose?"
No, and because
Which is
they
what I
do
would have said.
well, because there's, like, a nostril, and then there's, like, a high nostril, which apparently hurts and is really, like, hard it takes a long time to heal, and then there's the one that goes in between, like the bull ring, one that it's going to drive me crazy that I don't know what it's called. And then, you know, there's a bunch of them that you could get. And so I wanted to be clear about exactly what I wanted. And then the guy was so good. He drew on my face like where it was gonna they draw the dot, but then he also was like he kept like doing this looking parentheses finger mark with his face and hands and like trying to figure out which side and all that stuff. So it was really good. It was a good experience. It was really fast. How long were we
It
there?
was
Like half an
fast
hour?
because I could
It was
not go back with her. And I
no.
had barely started the BuzzFeed quiz when she came back.
Were
I'm
you learning
Tiana,
what
by the
kind of
way.
I was
It's
gonna
based on
say,
what kind of breakfast foods I like.
were you learning what kind of sandwich you were?
So what Disney princess are you based on your breakfast order? I'm
Got
Tiana.
it. Exactly. Okay. That was a good breakfast order. Beignets?
Yeah. So you know what's great on breakfast is butter, right? Pancakes with butter,
Yes.
waffles with butter. So my child is finally old enough to understand the concept of a bribe. He's almost 3.
Nice.
And so I can say to him, hey, I will give you this if you fill in the blank. We had a family photo shoot a couple weeks ago, and he was one of the best behaved grandchildren. I was so proud. I was like, normally my kid's the problem because he understood the concept of you smile for the camera, I'll give you M&Ms.
Not
Well, the M&Ms have worn off, but what has not is the butter. My kid is so shiny because I am just giving him pats of butter left and right.
I'm sorry.
Clean your
Like
room,
from
give you a
like
piece
with
of
us.
butter. Change your clothes, give you a piece of butter. Take a tub, give a piece of butter. He has the most beautiful glistening skin because he's just been rubbing butter everywhere.
Oh my god. Wait. Like what is he
He just eats it like as
like
a snack food.
okay, I'm picturing like Grace Adler like telling people she doesn't want to fill up on bread, so she's got a knife and she's just scooping the butter out.
Right.
Like, oh my god.
And sometimes I give him the good Irish butter in the gold wrapper. Again, we're not sponsored, but if you want to talk Kerrygold, I'm up. But most of the time, it's just the regular, wax paper, unsalted. Here's a piece of butter.
Is it just me or do we all go through that phase where like butter on toast was truly like the best possible thing you could eat?
I mean, toast is still my favorite food.
It's so good.
I consider myself a foodie and I do love fine dining, but when it comes down to it, a piece of toast with butter is still my favorite food.
I also really like a piece of like cinnamon toast with butter.
Oh, yeah.
Or even like a I might need to stop talking about food because I'm gonna start drooling and it's nighttime. I don't need to
Like
be
a nice
eating right
buttery Chardonnay.
now. Oh my not the same thing.
Or maybe like melted butter while you're dipping lobster in it.
Oh, that sounds good too. Yum. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, this is a mess. Anyway, the nose piercing I'm talking about is a septum. It's your septum. That's what
Septum.
I'm
That sounds
talking
like sacrum.
about. It does sound like sacrum. They are not the same.
Could you imagine if you had accidentally set out with like a sacrum piercing and they pierced your tailbone?
He's like, turn over. Wait, what? Why?
No.
Or the guy at the counter who's like, yeah, I think that would look good on you.
I haven't had one of those in a while. Oh, really? Yeah, no, they're not as popular as you would think.
Oh my gosh. What a mess, man. That would have been a very, very scary thing to mess up. So
I
I'm really glad that
apologize
I did
if
it.
I'm your child's biology teacher. Let me
I
just get that
mean,
out there. I'm sorry.
I think that you would have a better sense of what. Yeah. Anyway, it's fine. Don't worry. She's not your child's biology teacher. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Everything's fine. That was creepy. That was very, the call is coming from inside the house. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we do have some business to attend to. So let's go ahead and get to that.
The name Top Knot Talk comes from the idea that when stuff gets real, you just got to put your hair up in a top knot and get to work. And choosing a school for your family definitely is work. So I want to say last week, but it was really like last month. Because again, I went back to work, my life got psycho. But last time we talked about public schools. So today we are going to talk about this weird blend that is the charter school. Take it away, Caitlin.
Yeah, well, so just to be clear, and we're going to put this disclaimer up every time, but neither Jenny nor I know every single thing about these three types of schools.
We're not lawmakers.
We're drawing from past experiences. Jenny having worked in all three types of schools, and I've worked in two. And really, what we're doing is trying to give you as much information as possible so that you can make informed decisions about what's best for you and your family. We're trying to help you list out a few things that could be benefits and drawbacks of each so that you can make that informed decision that helps you assess what your needs are and what's going to be the best fit for you. I did get this information from greatschools.org and understood.org, excuse me, and of course from my own experience, and Jenny will of course draw on hers as well. So, talking about charter schools, when we talk about the basics of charters, basically what you need to know is that the funding comes from the government, but it can also come from for-profit agencies, and many of them do additional fundraising on the side. They are independently run. They have a charter that they use as their bylaws, guidelines, mission statement, etc. But they are independently run, often by someone who has a business on the side. Not every time, but that is often a situation that you'll have for charter schools. They are accountable to that agency that provides the charter. So if the school were to perform poorly, it can still be shut down. Typically, charter schools get their charter from some sort of government agency, whatever that may be.
Right.
So if the government agency decides that it's not performing the way it's supposed to run, they can revoke the charter of that charter school.
That's correct. And when we say the funding comes from the government, when we talked about public schools last time, we talked about local tax money. And we said that, public school isn't free because if you are a property owner in a public school district, you're probably paying taxes to that public school, whether your children attend there or not.
Right.
A charter school does not collect local tax money. The only funding they get from the government is the attendance-based funding.
Right.
So that's going to be the quote unquote state money or federal money, but there's not going to be any local property tax money. In our state, Texas, local property tax money for school districts can be spent on infrastructure like textbooks or football stadiums or even school buildings.
Mm.
And charters don't raise that money. So that's why you're going to see charters pop up in old Walmarts or industrial parks or somebody's backyard because the charter doesn't have the funding to spend on the space.
Right. That's an important distinction. And you'll also see, if it's run by a for-profit agency, sometimes they'll even build a brand new building and they'll spend a ton of money on this building and then, have to do some fundraising to meet the additional needs of the children in the school.
Correct.
As for admissions, charter schools are not held to the same accountability standards for admissions as public schools are. Students entering a charter school cannot be discriminated against based on race, gender, or disability. However, charters can be very selective about who they choose to admit within their school. Space is often limited in charter schools. Charter schools can discourage certain students from attending. For example, a charter school may say, we don't have the staffing for your child who has dyslexia, so this school may not be the best fit for you and your child. That can be intentional. They may intentionally not hire teachers who are certified to teach children with learning differences, or it could just be that's how, the cookie crumbled and they weren't able to get staffing for that. But they can be very selective based on who they have in their facility to help their children learn. Typically, a separate application for a charter school is required. And many charter schools, they might even advertise themselves as magnet schools, may be so popular in an area that they're going to have a wait list, or they may even have a lottery to determine who gets to come to the school.
Right. One of the very important pieces to remember about a charter is they are free to the attendees. There is no tuition. Now, there might be additional fees like uniforms or school supplies, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as tuition, that's covered. you're not paying for your child to attend. There's a really great documentary called Waiting for Superman that talks about all about this lottery system and follows several families as they apply and get waitlisted for a charter and then learn whether or not their child's name has been called for the next year. But part of the popularity from charters is that they are going to offer some specific programming. Maybe it's smaller class size, maybe it's heightened academics. But again, there's no charge for you as an attendee.
Right. And again, depending on what they choose to focus on, they can be selective about who they're going to let in. So if it's a heavily academic focused school, they may say you have to have a certain test score to get in. If it's one that focuses on, I don't know, music or whatever, you may have to have a child who plays an instrument and has played that instrument for several years. That's obviously just an example, but they are allowed to be that selective.
I taught at a charter that accepted every student, but did do placement testing as to what grade they would be ready for.
Mm.
And so as long as you filled out the paperwork correctly and also were selected from the lottery because there was a wait list, at that point, we would then assess your student and see what grade level we were going to place them in. But that was not a condition of your acceptance. That was just
a placement. Got it. Okay. So it could go either way. Again, because they are allowed to be selective, students with special needs may or may not be served by a charter school. So charter schools are required by law to evaluate students for special education services. However, they are not required to provide those services if they don't have the staffing to do that.
But your child could be served by your local public district depending on what their needs are.
Right.
So you might find that perfect blend of attending a charter, but getting services from your local public school.
Right.
Not during the school day, though.
No, you would have to find a way to have your child's needs met outside of the school day.
Correct.
If your child is determined to have learning accommodations that are written into an IEP, your charter school, if your child is in that charter school, is required by law to provide those learning accommodations. But again, those services could be limited. So it just depends on the staffing that they have in the building. So you may have to seek additional support for your child outside of the school day if you choose to attend a charter and your child has learning accommodations. They are also required by law to provide a 504 plan.
And let's remember that charters are funded by the federal government. So they have to uphold federal law.
Right.
And IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and Section 504, both of these are federal
laws. Right. So they are required. If your child has an IEP, has a 504, and is accepted into a charter school, those teachers and all the staff are required to uphold the terms of that 504 and IEP. So in that sense, you don't have to worry. However, if your child is not chosen for that charter, they shouldn't be discriminated against based on the needs that they have, but it is possible that the charter school could say, listen, we just don't have the ability to serve your child. We don't have the staffing to meet the needs of the accommodations. We don't have the staffing to meet the needs of the IEP or the 504.
The licensing requirements vary by state as well.
Yes.
So in Texas, an individual who is serving as a special education coordinator at a charter school does need to be certified. But at other schools, that might not be the case in other states.
Right. And speaking of teachers, any teachers who work at a charter school could fall under very flexible certification requirements other than public school teachers. It just depends on state law. So SPED teachers and gen ed teachers or elective teachers could be required to be certified, but they may not have to be. It's just depending on what the charter says and what the state says about the rules for that school. So I will say many charter schools, because they do receive federal funds, and because they do have a charter that's provided to them by the state, a lot of them do want to have certified teachers. Most schools do want to have certified teachers, but it's not a requirement. You would just need to ask that question of your charter if you decided to go that route.
And let's go on the record right now and say a certified teacher is not necessarily better than an uncertified teacher.
Very true.
And an uncertified teacher is not necessarily better than a certified teacher.
Right.
What you need to do is really get to know the campus, visit on a school day, Let your child shadow, experience the culture before you're ready to decide if certified or uncertified makes a difference for you.
Right. Jenny and I, both having worked in private schools with certified and uncertified teachers, can tell you that some of our best teachers were uncertified. And, Jenny and I both consider ourselves to be pretty good teachers, and we are both certified as well. So it really just depends on, does your child gel with the teacher? That's really what you should care about, as opposed to certification. Unless, of course, your child has special needs, learning services that are needed for that child, and you may decide, what, I really want my child's, IEP provider to be someone who's certified and knows exactly what they're doing with that. So, let's talk about academic programs and class sizes. Charter schools, again, as Jenny mentioned, do not receive local tax dollars. So it is possible that they could struggle with funding, and typically they get less money per student than a traditional public school because they don't get those local tax dollars. They do get federal tax dollars. So that's something to think about. So many of them will raise money from private sources. And that means that one charter school in one neighborhood and a charter school in the next neighborhood could have completely different financial situations. It really just depends on how they're fundraising and who their donors are. So that funding is going to be all over the place in even one single city, one neighborhood to the next. Many of them are smaller schools. So that's something to think about. Smaller schools typically mean smaller class sizes. Not always, but typically. But there is no norm, there is no standard among charter schools. Again, it just depends on enrollment and staffing. So that could go either way for you. When we talk about racial and religious diversity within a charter school, there are no diversity requirements for charter schools. And because some of them, and many of them, are magnet schools, they can be selective. So they may not be diverse, but they could serve an entire community. So you may have, I want to clarify the difference between minorities and diversity. They're not the same thing. Diversity just means you have a wide array of experiences and types of people within a building. So you may see a school that serves a predominantly Black community and say, oh, that's a diverse school, but it's not actually diverse. They're serving a particular community with a particular purpose. Whereas a diverse school is going to have students of all different backgrounds, races, languages, etc. So when you're talking about diversity, be clear about what you mean by that word so that the people who you're asking the questions of are going to know exactly what question you're trying to ask. But again, because they are magnet in style, or some of them are magnet in style, they could be serving a community, and that community could be diverse or not. There's no requirement for that within a charter school.
I have taught in 2 different charters.
Okay.
And one served a neighborhood that was historically underserved
Okay.
and was primarily Hispanic. And then I also taught in a school that was in a neighborhood that was very well served and was primarily Asian and Middle Eastern. And so we saw that in the second school, there were a lot of families that were dissatisfied with their local public school option and had elected to come to this charter. The first one was a Title I school.
Mm-hmm.
More than 90% of our students qualified for free lunch programs, whereas the second school did not qualify for that special funding because these families were a little bit more socioeconomically stable.
Sure. So again, diversity doesn't necessarily equate to a certain color of people. So just something to
Right.
think about when you are talking about the diversity of your school. If that's something that matters to you, you need to look at the statistics of the school and you need to ask the question. And it's okay to say, do you have various socioeconomic status backgrounds? Do you have various racial backgrounds? Do you have various language backgrounds? I would like to know that about this school for my child. And so just clarifying that question for the people who you're talking to when you go visit your charter, because you're not just going to enroll in a charter, you're going to go visit your charter if you want that option for your child.
And the charter wants you to visit.
Absolutely, they do.
Have a whole protocol in place of how they welcome visitors into the school. In fact, at that second school I worked at, I actually ran the visitor program and trained our students on how to act as tour guides and how to answer family questions. So we want families to come and visit.
Right. And remember, either option is going to receive federal dollars. So either one could be a good fit for you or your kid, the public school versus the charter, depending on the needs of your child. So please go visit both. We told you to go visit the public school too. Do that. It matters. You need to see for yourself what the building looks like, what the classrooms look like, what the group of children look like, all of that for yourself. It'll make you feel better when you make your decision. This is a no judgment zone. No one's going to say, well, I can't believe you chose the charter over the public. No one's going to say, I can't believe you chose the public over the private. No one's going to do that for you here because we just want you to make the most informed decision for you and your family. My only plea to you is now that we're back in school, school has started, and Jenny and I are both trained teachers. Jenny's back in the classroom. I'm just going to say support your teachers, whatever school you decide to go to, because they need help. It is hard to teach in COVID. It is really hard to teach in COVID.
Yeah.
Like, support could be anything. It could be answering an email within a normal amount of time. It could be sending, a coffee with your child on your way to school. Just say, hey, go bring this in to Mr. Brown or whatever his name is or her name is or whoever. Just do something to let your teacher know that you care and that you're listening, because this is hard. And it's going to be hard no matter what school they're in, public, charter, or private. That's all I have to say about that. Right.
Right.
I mean, Jenny, am I missing anything? I feel like I covered charters are.
One of the things that I really liked about public was the availability of extracurriculars. And I'm going to say that charters are not going to be able to offer the same thing.
No, they are not.
You're not going to see as many active participants in sports. You're probably not going to have as many opportunities to participate in competitions, whether they be art or academic. Your child might not be able to be a cheerleader. So if the other education, the experiences outside the classroom are very important to you, I encourage you to ask about those experiences at a charter, particularly asking current families and students about their experiences there. However, if your child is looking for their tribe and is having a hard time connecting at their public school, they might be a great candidate for charter.
Mhm.
There are a lot of children in the charter populations, in my experience, that are really looking for that connection, and they are able to find their group and find their place in the smaller community that is a charter.
And I completely agree with that. And, the other good thing about going and visiting the school and asking that question is, if the charter doesn't provide those opportunities, a lot of times they'll have a list of recommendations for where you can go to get those opportunities. And if you're talking to other families who are part of the charter community, you can say things like, hey, my son really loves to play soccer. There's no soccer team here. Do you know of anything? And they can provide you with that information. So word of mouth recommendations, you're going to get those. And charters have smaller populations, so you might have a better chance of finding your own parent community within that as well.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. Especially, parents no one can do this by themselves. We all need people
Number
to be able
one
to talk
drawback.
to.
Number one drawback to charters.
Okay, say
They
it.
typically don't come with transportation.
That is something to think about. I don't have that on my list. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because if transportation matters to you, if you want your child to get a ride to school every day and you're just unable to make that happen for them, you're going to need to figure out the carpool situation pretty quickly, because charters, you're right, often do not have a way to pick up.
I taught at one that had a
kid.
bus. So it's not never,
A bus.
but often they don't.
A bus. Hopefully it was more than one. Yikes. Something to think about. That's our quick summary of charter schools. I hope that you found that somewhat helpful. When we come back next time, we'll talk to you guys about private schools. And
it's a secret.
It's private. Just kidding. So we'll be talking about those and giving you guys the rundown on same kinds of ideas: basics, admissions, extracurriculars, diversity, academics, etc. So all of that information, again, will be available in our next, and we hope that you guys will definitely tune in. Jenny, is there anything that I'm not thinking of or that I'm missing right now?
Just go watch The First Wives Club. I think Stockard Channing is in that too.
Perfect. A fabulous way to sign off. If you like us and you enjoyed our show today, we'd love for you to like and subscribe and rate and review and do all the things that you do for podcasts. Wherever you listen to your pods, we are available. So tune in next time and yeah.
Put the lime in the coconut and make good choices.
And use your gift cards. Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.